But you hit on Waller, and I did not realize his life story. I assume you know all about this life story, right? Tell me about him and sort of as a person, how far he's come.
Yeah, I honestly, I wish I had just an hour to talk about Darren Waller, because one, he is so inspiring in what he's come from. He was trying to quit football. He was trying to get himself kicked out at one point. He's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this. And to see this transformation take place in his life, and just the other day, I saw him in church the other day, and he's trying to do everything he can to make sure he stays mentally right. His heart is in the right place. And I see him consciously trying to work towards that all the time, and to see that he recognizes that he had those problems, and he recognized that I don't want to go back to that, and he's fighting every single day. Still to this day, he still fights every day to make sure he never goes back to that. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, because the way he comes to practice, his mentality every single day. If I could tell our rookies or our young guys one thing, I say, guys, just watch Darren Waller. You want to know what it takes to make it in this league?
Welcome into the Chris Collinsworth podcast featuring Richard Sherman. And speaking of our friend, I think we're going to have some good news, some good information about him coming up very soon with a new special project. We'll leave that for another day, though. We also have a fantastic podcast today. I've been waiting for a while to talk to the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr. We finally made it work, which is great. We had a tremendous conversation. He's such an interesting guy. Has so many sort of core values, living in Las Vegas, raising a family there. And it was surprising for me almost, his take on being in Vegas. But before we get there, I want to remind you about some really awesome stuff we've got going on at PFF.com. It's fantasy season, and the PFF projections and rankings are live, built on the same data that all 32 NFL teams trust in, using a little machine learning and the best analysts in the entire space. They're all yours with a PFF Edge subscription for just $9.99. Also, the PFF College Football Preview Magazine, which is spectacular. It's amazing. And the college football betting guides as well, all also on PFF.com and available with Edge or Elite subscriptions. And you better get your CFB bets before the rest of the world wises up and comes trying to take some of your money. So we appreciate all the support of PFF, and our guys just work so hard at all this stuff. And we're glad that you're there to partake, and really appreciate it. Now it is time to get going here with the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. You are going to enjoy listening to Derek Carr. All right, let's welcome in one of the really good guys in the game, our guy Derek Carr, and with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm almost used to saying it, and as soon as I say that, I look up and there you are, looking like a priest ready for this podcast. I'm impressed with what's going on. How are you, man?
I'm doing so good. It's good to talk to you.
So we were just chatting a little bit off the air before we got started, and you're going to Tahoe. You're playing in that celebrity tournament, and I've played in it a handful of times until I figured out that I was so dangerous to all human beings in a gallery. I was telling you the story, but I had one shot that I'll never forget. I hit a tee shot, and there was nobody watching me. They're all watching all the big stars. So this one couple was walking away from where we were, and I whistled this tee shot about 400 miles an hour, 10 feet off the ground. It sailed over their head, maybe 3 feet. I would have definitely killed either one of them that it hit. And after that, I did not want to take the club back again. I was scared to death that I was going to kill somebody out there. And I said, so you're going to play in it? I go, yeah, what kind of player are you? What'd you shoot today?
I shot just one over today, so we'll see.
Everybody
We'll see
hates you. Everybody hates you, and hates all quarterbacks that can play scratch golf and have billions of dollars and hot wives. We all hate you. We do. We all hate you.
there's no doubt. You can check my Twitter feed. There's a lot of people that hate me.
It's amazing. I'm this time of year, I'm reading all the magazines and I'm just doing all the studying, and we're getting ready, right? I mean, football season. This is about the time of year that you're kind of going, okay, it's game back on. Let's go back to work. Yep. And so I'm going through all the notes of everything from PFF and everything else, and you really had a really nice season last year. You threw for over 4,000 yards. Your offense is kind of ranked in the top 10-ish pretty much across the board, right? And you really didn't have a great year out of Josh. I mean, he was okay, but went from about 5 yards a carry down to about 3.9 yards a carry, hurt a little bit. Your offensive line was hurt basically all year. But the defense really struggled. I mean, the defense really had a tough year. They were ranked 30th. Coordinator gets hired or fired in the middle of the year. There were some problems on that side of the ball, but it never matters. It's always about the quarterback. No matter what, if you don't make the playoffs, then somehow it's the quarterback. And you go through it, first of all, with trade rumors after trade rumors. And this year, now Aaron was on the short list to come to Las Vegas as well. I'm like, oh my God, it's like everything seems to revolve back to you eventually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know how that goes. Anytime you don't make the playoffs, that's what they talk about. They go to the quarterback or the head coach. It's one or the other. And, and I talked to Aaron, I know Aaron. So I was like, all right, guys, this is enough. I think the rumors are getting a little out of hand now, but I'm so used to it now, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm so used to it, to hearing them, that honestly, like, it's funny to say this because it used to bother me, because when I was a young player, like, I cared so much about making everybody like me. I was going to work hard. I was going to do things the right way. I was going to give it all that I had on the football field, try and dive over people, whatever it takes to win. And you find out that even when you do those things, you're not going to please everybody. And it really, I had to grow as a person, because I can't please everybody, especially as a Raider. You can't please everybody, and I had to learn that. But now I just enjoy it because I'm so at peace with, I know what I've put on film, and I know how not only our organization, but other organizations, I run into, people all the time with other teams and whatever they do for those teams, I'll leave that in my brain. But those conversations I've had with them, just the respect I get from those guys, I mean, that's what matters to me, is that at the end of the day, I'm respected by the people, within the business.
It is an interesting thing. So Brady was rumored to come out there too, right? I mean, I'm not wrong with this stuff, right? And I'm sure you know Tom. So when you talk to these guys, when you talk to Tom post rumors, when you talk to Aaron post rumors, how are those conversations?
Oh, Aaron has from the beginning of my career till still to this day, me and Aaron talk. I probably talk to him the most out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, me and Aaron, he's always been someone that I could always, lean on, kind of like a mentor in the game. He's someone in college I really looked up to and admired. And then obviously when Devontae went to Green Bay, I was able to connect with Aaron that way. And ever since then, I mean, at Devontae's wedding, we're sitting next to each other at dinner, and we're talking and picking his brain. And from there, it just grew into a relationship where we talk pretty regularly, during the season too, bouncing ideas off each other and stuff like that. And I'm asking him questions about coordinators he's seen that more than I have and things like that. So he's always been great to me, and Aaron's always been awesome. I love Aaron. Like I said, he's always been good to me. Tom, I don't talk as much. He sent me his book, and wrote me a little letter in there, But,
told you to eat avocado mushrooms or whatever the heck it is.
Oh yeah, eat all this stuff and all the pliability and all that. But I don't talk to Tom as much. But every time that I have, he's been awesome to me, and there's obviously a great deal of respect for him too.
How about Devontae's comments the other day? Did you read those?
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there going, "Oh, here we go. Let's get this train moving here." So,
That's
former teammate, right? How sweet was that? It was probably nice to have one of those hot rumors of the day in your favor finally, instead of somebody coming to take your job.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's nice to have those, and hopefully we can just start winning so all those rumors can go away. But when Devontae, me and Devontae are, he's one of my best friends. And when he said that, and I said I'm going to full court press the guy when he's a free agent. Like, there's no doubt I'm offering whatever I got to offer. I'll buy him a car, buy whatever I got to do. I'm gonna offer that man, and because I know he'd fit in great with the receivers that we have here, because they would just fit so well, in that room. So I'm allowed to say those things. Our organization isn't, but yeah, but I'm gonna say that guy's my best friend. I think he's one of the best. He's the best receiver in the NFL. So when he came out and said that, I mean, he just he tells it how it is, and so. I know he's focused, though, on being a Packer, and I know that because I see how he works. I know how he works, and I know how much it means to him. So he's focused on that, and honestly, I'm focused on trying to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, and hopefully he's in it so I can beat his butt too, and that's the plan, and then recruit him over to the dark side a little bit.
You've had a lot of good friends. One of the more interesting conversations I think Al Michaels and I had was when you and Khalil Mack were on the same team back when you guys had a really good defense. When, that's a different subject. But so you guys are really tight. I mean, like, really tight, right? And some of my favorite stories were like the swimming pool basketball games and the wars that were going on. Tell me about that relationship and how it impacted you when he got shipped off to Chicago.
Yeah, Khalil, again, he's one of my best friends he's someone I talk to weekly, we're, texting each other. I'm trying to send him gifts all the time. He's trying to send me stuff to the house for the boys or anything like that. I mean, he's just a great guy. And it was really when we got drafted from there on out, we just had been super close. And Khalil, when he got traded, I couldn't believe it because, the way it was set up, the way I did my contract, the way we set it up, the way Gabe Jackson did his and all this kind of stuff, we were setting it up to where cap-wise and all that, it'd be easy to bring Khalil in. But it didn't end up working out for whatever reasons. I hope to know someday. and it didn't work out. But I know one thing is I would welcome Khalil back any day, because not just the player, obviously, but he's one of my best friends. And I wish him the best, except when he plays us, obviously, for obvious reasons, because I'm the quarterback that he has to play against. And but anything besides that, I think obviously we know he's a superstar talent, but he's one of the best people in the world that he's not out there a lot in the public eye and things like that. But if people really, really knew him and got to talk to him, I think everyone in football would be a fan of that guy.
He's a great dude. He's just a great dude. He really is. I was thinking about you a little bit when the whole move to Las Vegas was made. You're a very faithful man, right? And here you go into Sin City and Las Vegas, here we come. And now effectively you're the quarterback of Las Vegas. So in some ways, directly or indirectly, you're sort of the spokesman for that city.
That's right.
Give me a little bit of what that was like when you realized that you were getting ready to pick up your family and move to Las Vegas.
Being a kid that grew up really in Houston, Texas, and in Central Valley, California, I did not ever think I was going to live in Oakland or Las Vegas. I didn't think that was a part of my life plan. But obviously it was. God had a different plan for me. But I'm here, and what's crazy about Las Vegas is when my wife and I moved here. Obviously, I don't know it very well. So I didn't know what to think. But when we got here, my wife and I and my kids, we fell in love with it. Literally everything. We have the Strip, and obviously they have some of the best restaurants. So great date nights my wife and I have had. We have some great date nights, and I've seen some other people from other teams there. So I get to, people are coming to Vegas. So I'm seeing people all the time that I know, friends and things like that. So that's been fun. But outside the Strip, what people don't know is everybody, like literally everybody knows everybody. And you go to this, my kids play on this baseball team, well, the parents of this, or, have this restaurant. Oh, that's where we eat every, Tuesday, or, and you just start all these connections. And what we learned is over the year, like my wife and I, we never thought this, but we were like talking about, we could live here for the rest of our life. Like we really love the city of Las Vegas because it's more than the Strip and the partying and all that kind of stuff. The family atmosphere that happens around the outside of that has really been awesome. And every restaurant we go to, everyone treats us like family. This city, I don't know if you know anything about the Las Vegas Knights, but this city erupted when they got the Las Vegas Knights. I mean, have just went absolutely bonkers. And now when we got here, fans are starting to notice who we are because we've been here a year and things like that. And they really just wrap us up in their arms like we're family. And it reminds me again of like a college atmosphere. And so it's kind of nice to have that again, like we had in Fresno. Because, in the Bay Area, I mean, you got Steph Curry. I mean, you got the Giants, you got the Sharks, you got the A's, you got this, you got that, you got the Niners, you got us, and then the college teams. And there's so much going on. No one really cares about one team that much, not the whole city, but here they don't care about anything else except the Raiders. And so it's been really cool to get that college vibe again.
Yeah, last year we had the pleasure of calling the second Chiefs game that you guys had. The first game may have been the best game that you guys played. You'd knock off the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And it's interesting to that game sort of personified, if you will, what your year was. So the 2 years prior, you had, I'm going to make up a number, 10 touchdowns of 20 plus yards, something like that. Last year, I want to say you had that many in 1 year. You had the same as you had in 2 years prior. You clearly, against Kansas City the first time around, were taking some big shots and hitting them. I mean, that game had to be as much fun as you could possibly have. You have Jon Gruden and Andy Reid, two good buddies who used to coach together. And then there was the story of taking the victory lap. And I mean, it's like all kinds of things that came out of that. And then we go back to Oakland, or I did it again, back to Las Vegas, and nobody in the stands. Right? An eerie silence to sit and watch that game. But again, it was another one of those shootouts that came down to Mahomes kind of got the ball last, takes it down the field and wins the game. But from a television standpoint, we could hear more of the calls at the line of scrimmage than any game I've ever been associated with. And I could hear you and Patrick going back and forth. And I remember what John told me about you, which was, people don't know this, but Derek has a photographic memory. Yeah. And he goes, it's unbelievable. He said there was one point in a game at one time that he came out of the game, he made some check or some audible or did something. And John was like, what the hell was that? And you said, Coach, you don't remember like on that Thursday in training camp when you told me da-da-da-da-da? He goes, what? What are you talking about? And he goes, unbelievable. You do it to him all the time. It's like, is that true? Do you really have a photographic memory?
It is true. My wife would like me to have a photographic memory here at the house more than football, but
you occasionally forget to take the trash out. Is that what you're saying?
Take the trash out. That's right. But yeah, with football, it's a blessing for sure. Like I literally remember every coaching point he tells me. So I'll never forget. It was actually in the Minnesota game. We're playing the Vikings. And I checked to this certain run. He's like, if you ever get this look against this coverage in this formation, and he told me this in training camp. Hey, he said, just check to this. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. Well, we get here in like week whatever it is. This is after training camp. We've played a couple games, and we're sitting there, and I get the look. I get the coverage. I said, this is exactly what he wants. And I checked to it, and we missed an assignment. And I think it was a quarterback draw, actually. I ended up getting tackled and for like a 1 yard. And I come jogging off the field after the third down, and he's being Gruden, losing his mind and all this kind of stuff. I was like, Coach, you told me like 7 weeks ago in camp on Thursday, like you told me to check to this if I ever get this. And he goes, what? And then he came back to me. He's like, I did say that to you, didn't I? I was like, yeah, you did. So yeah, there's been multiple times. And once I did that, he kind of realized that I kind of do remember. So when I check to something, he'll be like, all right, when did I say that? And then so I'll be like, okay, you told me to do this. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. So it's been great.
Gruden's screwed. Because now you can tell him anything because he's like me. He won't remember. My kids will tell me that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, I probably did tell you that. What the heck?
You told me to throw it deep to Waller again. That's what you told me to do. Yeah.
that always works, by the way. You're always going to feel good doing that one anyway.
That's right. That's right.
This is your football team always seems to be somehow in the news. There are things that are going on. This time, Carl Nassib right? Comes out as the first openly gay football player in the history of the National Football League that announced that while still playing.
Yes.
Did you have any idea? And can you give me some idea of what the reaction to that has been with your team and the locker room, with you personally, whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the crazy thing is when something happens like that, obviously everyone wants to hear from me. They want to hear from me first because of my faith, right? They're like, sure. I got to hear from him. Like, we have to hear from him. And it's not even really that I'm the quarterback. And my response at first was kind of like, are you just trying to get me to say something so you can use it? Or do you really care about what I think? You know what I mean? And I don't really respect that side of it. When you really do care what I have to say and what our team has to say, like you do, like you actually care what we feel, then yeah, it's easy conversation. So I kind of took a second. I said, I'm going to talk to Carl first because I want to tell him. And I did. I called him. I sent him a text and he answered right back. And I said, Carl, I want you to know, and I'd pull it up and read it to you if I wanted to, but to keep his business, I said, Carl, I love you, bro. And I said, you know that I love you and I got your back no matter what. You're my brother. And all I want to do is win a Super Bowl with you. And I said, if no one else will talk to you, and I don't think that's the case at all, but I said, if no one else has your back, if no one else will talk to you, I will always talk to you and I will always have your back, man. I'll always be there for you. Someone you can talk to. And he reached back out and he's like, Derek, I was actually thinking and hoping that you'd reach out, and I didn't send out a tweet and I didn't do that because this is more of a personal thing, I think, to let him know that, yeah, you guys vote for me as captain every year and leader as a team and all that. Well, I should make a face-to-face conversation rather than just tweeting about it first, and so we talked and it was great conversation. I love Carl to death. I didn't think it or know it prior to him announcing it. When someone told me, I was shocked, not in a good or bad way. I was just shocked, I just like, oh wow, I didn't know, and once I talked to him and kind of heard his voice and things like that, things were, I wasn't as confused anymore about what was going on in his mind. So our team has been all for having his back. That doesn't mean everyone agrees with the lifestyle or agrees with that, but we live in a country nowadays, like people think if you don't agree, then you can't love one another and have their back. And like, that is the farthest thing from the truth, and so there are some guys that have raised a question or two, but they all say without a doubt, we have his back and he's our brother. So if you want to mess with him, you have to go through us, kind of a thing. And that's what family does, is family covers one another. And so we have Carl's back, and I hope that no one makes it difficult for him, and I'm talking about the outside coming in, because inside of our building, he's going to be loved just like he's always been loved, just like everyone on our team is always treated.
Yeah. It's so interesting how far it seems like we've all come on this issue. I can even think back to Bill Clinton in the 90s, sort of the don't ask, don't tell policy, which was in many ways considered like a step forward, I guess, by some people, or a controversial step anyway, no matter what. And it just seems like in the 20 plus years since then, and maybe my reaction would have been different, but my immediate reaction was, like so many people that I know that have come out, I really felt horrible that they had to live the entirety of their adult lives knowing and not being able to tell anybody, or not being able to live their lives openly. And I hope it works out great for them. I think it will. I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think we have a great group of guys, and not only that, we have a mature group of guys, that again, whether they agree or they don't agree, they still love him as a teammate, they love him as a brother. You know what I mean? And so, again, we live in a society sometimes that if you don't say it this way or think this way, then we just kind of cancel everybody. I don't agree with you, then you go that way, and we go. Well, that's not football. Football is family. And what family does, in my experience, no matter what you're up to or what you think is this or right or wrong, family has each other's back at any moment. And I think that's what my favorite thing about football is that we can take anyone who thinks this way or believes this way, and we can all come together for one common goal, and that's to win a Super Bowl. That's what we're trying to do. And so I think it's going to be great for Carl. I think he'll be just fine as long as he continues to give great effort like he does, and go do his thing on the football field, I don't think it'll be a problem at all.
You guys go 8-8 a season ago. You had some really horrible collapses coming down the stretch, particularly on defense. I don't think I'll ever forget watching the Miami game. And the third day, whatever it was, the throw down the boundary, there's just like no way that thing gets fit in there. But you guys had about 3 of those kind of losses late in the year that really almost ended any hope for you guys making the playoffs.
Yeah, it was tough, and I've been on the other end of that where we can't get a first down, and it's hard every week. You have to answer the questions. Everyone's mad at the offense. Our defense is getting some turnovers, and it's frustrating. And I know that, and so I guess my role in all that was we could all see there was some times of struggle and things like that. So my job was just to make sure those guys knew that man, we cared about them and that we needed them. Sometimes you get that, man, they don't need me, man. That you get in that mindset of man, I'm not cutting it or things like that. That's not the case ever. This is the ultimate team game, and as many times as we went down on a 2-minute drive to score and, things like that. And sometimes they didn't get the job done, but there were times they did get the job done, and it wasn't as pretty as they had liked, but it never usually, is when you turn the film on anyway, even if it's a good day. So my job was just to continue to encourage those guys because I've been there. I know that feeling, and it sucks, man. It's not fun. But I think, I'm not into predictions or anything like that, but I just say I'm excited to see what they bring to the table this year. Cause I know, and with football players, when you get your back against the wall and, people are saying this or saying that, you do one of 2 things. You either give into it or you fight back. And I'm kind of excited to watch those guys fight.
21 sacks on the year, 15 takeaways, less than a takeaway per game is just not going to get it done in this league. So Gus Bradley comes in, takes over for Paul Gunther. And Gus, you just go, okay, Seattle, right? Seattle cover 3 kind of thing. And think of Richard Sherman, you think of all the different things. What have you seen so far working against your defense now? There were a ton of free agents brought in. There were a ton of draft picks brought in on the defensive side as well. How did some of the OTAs, some of it look? Are you starting to get a different feel out of that defense?
Yeah. Anytime there's a new voice or a new scheme, there's always a new energy, right? There's always an excitement. There's always that. And there has to be, because it's what it takes. This is our job. So we're going to take this voice, we're going to run with it. And one thing I know about going against Gus, right? And one thing I've seen now being on the same team as Gus and on the same practice field is I've always known he's a really good coach. But when I got to watch him in person, most defense coordinators, they're on the scheme and they, hey, you got to make this check if it's this split or this motion, that thing. And he's on that stuff. But I haven't seen a defense coordinator as locked in and I would say hold people to such a standard of their fundamentals on each snap and the tackling and the fit. And I mean, he is on them every single play. And it is impressive because the way he can bring it every day and the way he brings his energy every day. And I'm sure you've talked to Gus and
sure.
He's literally that same way every second of the day. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it, man. Like, yeah, that's impressive, and I'm an ultra positive guy and I can't be that way every day. That's impressive, Gus, but he is exactly who I thought he was, but beyond the scheme and beyond the past and beyond all those things and going against him and him forcing you to check the ball down. And it's frustrating and it's annoying because they're playing cover 3, but the way they do it, you have to check it down. It's annoying. But the thing with him that has been the most impressive is in the on the field, play after play, down after down consistency of him making sure everything is correct. And I've just been blown away by that he can really bring it like that every day.
Yeah. It's even more frustrating when you lose Nelson Aguilar, who really was the guy that ended up being your big play threat a season ago. Everybody thought it would be Henry Ruggs. Of course, still probably will be this season, one of the really athletic, fast guys to come out in the draft last year, the top receiver in that draft. But he really got caught in one of those unfortunate situations with COVID, lack of training camp, trying to learn Gruden's offense, which I'm sure didn't come to you overnight, even though you have a photographic memory. Tell me about the journey of Ruggs and what losing Aguilar might mean to this offense this year.
Yeah, Nelly is a guy. That's my brother.
You liked him. I know you liked him a lot.
Oh, I love that man. Oh my goodness, when he came in day one, and obviously I played in college and I watched him. I'm a football fan, so I knew about him. But when he showed up and ran his first route, I was like, this dude is special. You see why he's a first round pick, and I love him. I'm going to miss him. I know he made a lot of money, so I'm happy about that. We got on the phone and celebrated about that. He when he signed it up, I'll tell you this just about his personality and his character. He called me and said, thank you. Like, I was like, bro, you don't have to thank me for anything. You're the one that did the work. But he called me and was like, bro, thank you for helping me do this, man. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, I was like, bro, you're A+ all over the board, right? And my goal is to help everyone do that, but he's gone and we wish him the best anytime except he plays us. But what an opportunity it is for Henry now, right? He got to watch Nelly work every day and the consistent grind of what Nelly would bring to the table, not just in practice. That man practices like a racehorse, man. He runs all day, but the way he would go about his business in the meeting room and Henry, there's something that happened. I don't know what it is. And I knew he had it in him because Henry is a dog. Like, he's not just one of those fast track guys. Like, he is a football player. And something clicked in his brain or something that, man, he came out with a mentality that I'm like, man, this can be exciting. When you use that 4.2 speed with that mentality, this could be really exciting. Then we add John Brown and we have Zay Jones, who I think, promise you, he probably runs 4.2 now. I mean, that guy's the hardest worker I've ever seen. And now we have all this speed. You got Brian Edwards, you got Hunter in the slot, you got Willie Snead, and all these guys. I'm going to stop naming them or else I'm going to forget somebody. But you got all these guys, and what an opportunity it is for them now, because they saw that if they worked hard and they did it in practice, they can show me in practice, I'll trust you in the game. That's for sure. And our hardest workers, on the practice field are always Darren Waller, Nelson Aguilar, Zay Jones. Well, when they're in the game, somehow they end up getting the ball, and there's no secret, just go out there and bust your tail. So I think it gives a great opportunity for these guys, especially Henry, to be like, I'm going to be the guy now. And I'm really excited to watch his growth this year. It's going to be fun.
They probably the most interesting part for me watching the Raiders is John is always looking for that right offensive line combination, right? And despite the fact that you throw for 4,000 yards, somewhere in his gut is a little bit of a defensive coordinator mindset. If he can control the ball, running the football with a powerful offensive line and play action off of it, it's all in there. It's all in there somewhere. And once again this year, we're doing the great reshuffle here, right, on the offensive line. And so the Rodney Hudsons of the world, arguably the best pass blocking center that we've seen in a decade. Trent Brown is now out of there. Gabe Jackson, who is such a cornerstone on that offensive line. As you now start over again and look at this, tell me your thoughts on this new offensive line. Maybe start with Andre James. Is that right? The young center that you've got going in there. It's a big role to fill. I mean, Gabe was fantastic.
Yeah. It's going to be one thing. We're talking about those guys, Rodney, Trent, and Gabe. Those are my brothers, man. I love those guys, and I'm going to miss them. We've played many games together. But the thing I say this is, as covering our games and watching us, we've had a lot of injuries, up front. And the bad thing is those guys were hurt. The good thing is the guys that are coming now have played a lot of football for us. It's not like I'm looking face to face with brand new guys who I've never played with. I still got Colton Miller. I got Richie Incognito, got Andre, who I've played games with. I got Denzel Good, who's a phenomenal player. And then Alex, who, he's a rookie, but we'll just let time tell and let his play do the talking. Right.
We'll circle back to him in 1 second, but go ahead.
we'll go back to them. But when I get in that huddle and I see them at practice and I watch them work, it's not anything where I'm like, I don't know these guys, who do we have a chance, as the quarterback would think, right? Or am I going to have to be running all over the place, making plays, which if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. But with Andre, he's someone that our organization's been excited about for 3 years now, and for him to have this opportunity, I mean, he got to learn from the best center, in the NFL, and he got the opportunity to watch him and learn and, take in. And he did, he would sit there and he would listen, he would learn, he would gravitate towards Rodney because he knew that his day would come at some point. And well, here we are, we knew it would come sometime. You just never know when. Right. But we're here now, and I'm very excited for him. I mean, we got Nick Martin also, Nick was someone who has played a lot of football, super smart, super tough, heck of a player. And I'm excited about him too. I mean, these two guys, again, one thing about Coach Gruden is he's going to watch the film and he's going to see who's tough, and he's going to see not who only can block, but who wants to block. Right. And I think he's found a group of guys that he likes in those positions.
You hit on it. Probably every year, no matter what, the Raiders pick is like scrutinized and what are they doing? And, it's all that kind of stuff. So Alex Leatherwood, not many people had him going that high in the draft because of some pass blocking concerns. I think when you watch him run block, you see a powerful man. I mean, this is a classic overpowering, what Alabama, you can just see it, right? And he is all that. He did have some struggles in pass protection. I don't know if you went back and watched any of it or not. And it was just mostly like every young tackle comes in this game, the speed of the NFL and those pass rushers is stunning. I mean, it is just stunning when you see it for the first time. How's he doing? What do you think the plan is for him? Tell me something about him as a guy.
Yeah, Alex is someone, he's very quiet. He stays so laser focused and locked in during practice. It excites you because I don't think he will, but if he were to fail at this, it wouldn't be because of a lack of effort. It wasn't because he was making dumb decisions. It's not going to be because of that. This guy genuinely cares about making sure that he proves the organization right for picking it, and the mentality that he brings in that huddle, you can feel it, the confidence he brings. And like you said, he's a powerful man. So when he steps up, you're like, geez, this guy is not only powerful, but he's crazy athletic on the edge, and that's exciting. So he, left tackle, what he did, obviously he won't probably start over left tackle by Colton. He'll probably go to the right side and, play over there, which, that'll probably be better for him. But like you said, that speed of that pass rush, I know for me, I was like, they didn't rush like this in the Mountain West. I saw it. DeMarcus Lawrence, did, but that was about it. These other guys didn't as much. And so, when he gets to line up against Max Crosby every day and Yannick, and see that speed coming at him, he's going to get 1,000 reps against these guys. And Yannick, I compare the speed like Vaughn off the edge.
Yeah.
Those two, their get off is second to nobody. It's really impressive. So he's going to see that all camp. And Yannick's either going to ruin practice for us, or we're going to be able to. Alex is going to grow and learn, and we'll be able to see what we have. So it's going to be good competition. But I know from other teams and other guys that were kind of hoping Alex would fall to them later in the first round. So people are like, well, we should have got him in the second. Well, he wouldn't have been there. So it's crazy how things work out. And we ended up getting the safety out of TCU in the second round, which is someone who they wanted us to get in the first round. So like, well, that was good. Can we celebrate that? So
that's what our guys were saying. If they had just switched the two picks and everybody would have gone great draft. They nailed it. They flip-flopped it. So who knows? Nobody ever knows what's going on. There's not a person. It's sort of like people who played for Mike Ditka always have Ditka stories, right? I was with Mike Ditka. I worked with him in the early days back in the studio at NBC. And Mike Ditka, I mean, we all know the screaming and yelling kind of stuff, right? But Mike Ditka, no matter who he came across, if it was somebody doing something for him, there was literally a guy that would show up at the NBC studio every Sunday morning for our pregame show and just open the door for Mike, and Mike give him $100. I'm not kidding you. The dudes that that would stop the cars and do the swipe and squeegee your windshield or whatever. He wasn't even driving. It was, we're in the back seat and somebody's driving us to the studio. He'd roll down the window and give the guy $100. One of the most generous human beings I have ever met in my life. And for Christmas, I was working with he and Joe Gibbs. And for Christmas, I sent them both a Christmas card. And I just wrote a little note in there. Hey, I just so thankful to you two guys, legendary coaches, but you guys treat me like an equal. And I've had a blast and I've learned so much football and all that kind of stuff in there. And he goes, so I come back in the studio the next time and he stops me and he goes, hey, I read your card. I cried. And he turned around and walked away. I was like, what? I go, wait a minute, man. You're like Mike Ditka. What are you telling me here? But I mean, he was that kind of guy, that kind of thing. And you've got one of those guys. You've got Jon, right? And everybody has seen some take on Jon, right? And we all know some story. I just want to hear a little bit of what your life is like on a daily basis, because he holds quarterbacks to a standard that I'm not sure any human being on earth could ever live up to.
There's no doubt about it. The beautiful thing about him, I think there was a game, I maybe missed 3, maybe 4 passes in a game. He threw it 30-something times. And we lit it up. It was awesome. We come in the next day and he gives me a little fist bump. He's like, great job. And he sits down and he goes, now we're going to spend the next hour and a half talking about the 3 you missed. I was like, let's go, like that's, but like, it's literally the demand is so high, that as we just continually get better, which under him, we just keep getting better. It's awesome. And hopefully we can take another step. It'd be great. But as we continually just go after the unbelievable demands and things that he asks of us, you find yourself on a bad day completing, 87% of your passes in practice instead of all of them, and you'll go through a whole practice and you'll be like, dude, I completed every pass today, but he acts like it's completely normal, but he knows inside, like, this is awesome, and that's just how he is. And, we chart every throw. We get lists of our completion percentage in practice during training camp, live reps, all this kind of stuff. And if I miss one, he's like, hey, good job today. He's like, but I can't believe you missed that throw. It's like, you got to get like 3 more of those after practice. I'm like, yes, sir. You're right. I can't believe I missed it either. And but that's how he is. But the one thing people, I'll share this story with people. When I broke, Mr. Stabler's, all-time passing, yards record and the touchdown record, right? This is something I dreamed of as like when I got drafted. I was like, man, one day that'd be so cool. Well, one day it happened, and I did that. And, everyone, when I came to the sideline, pat you on the head, good job, all that. But I didn't really hear anything else about it, which, to be honest, I didn't really care to hear anything else about it. We lost the game, okay, cool. It's cool for my kids someday. But in that moment, it didn't mean much to me. But he was the only person, I'll tell you this, in the whole organization, only person, he went and had footballs made for me. Himself, he did this himself, had footballs made for me painted and it says, Raiders career, touchdown record, Raiders all-time leading passer. And he had the numbers on there and the game and the date. And he said, Derek, I can't tell you how thankful I am, to be able to be a part of that. And I just wanted to give these to you as a gift. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. He's like, no, I love you, man. Thank you for everything. He's like, now let's try and go get 20,000 more, he's like, all right, that's enough of that. Now let's go get 150 more touchdowns, but people don't see that. They don't get to see that side of him. They don't get to see that in his mind. He's like, no, we need to respect what just happened. Like, this is the Raiders, man. This is pretty cool. And so he ended up doing that for me. And I'll never forget that. Like, it's the coolest thing to this day that anyone, and a lot of people in that building have done some cool things for me, but that's the coolest thing because he still, like, weeks later was like, no, this is the right thing to do. And I just want to make sure you have this. So I could tell you 100 more stories about him like that. I could also tell you 100 more of him, ripping me a new one, in practice. But everyone has seized those.
That's what Lou Holtz used to say. He said, the only thing I'm afraid of is that someday I walk out on that practice field and they're not afraid of me. I want them to have the easiest thing that happens to them in their entire life is they get in the huddle on game day and look around at each other and go, thank God that son of a bitch has to stand on the sideline now.
That's right. That's real. That's good.
But to talk about the completion percentage that you have, 68.8% completion percentage since 2019. That's second in the National Football League. So you guys are going to hit a higher percentage of it. The one thing I did want to ask you about specifically, we brought it up a little bit earlier, was the deep passing. Because 2 years prior, you had the same number of deep touchdown passes as you had a year ago. Jon actually brought up PFF in a meeting one time. A lot of people bring it up, but this was in a press conference, and basically he was kind of making fun a little bit. I know PFF wants us to throw it deeper more often, give Derek more of a chance, all that kind of stuff. But you did. I mean, last year you did, and I think you would say it worked out. Right? I mean, it was a definite enhancement to that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. that's, as there's a lot of things that go into that. Really two things off the top of my head. You got to have time to do it. You got to have time to do it. And then you also you have to have the guys that can go get them. You got to have guys. We can't just be throwing 50-50 balls. We need guys that can actually win, down the field. And since Gruden's got here, I think we've all seen him try and bring in speed, try and bring in guys that can roll, because that's what the Raiders, are known for, throwing the deep pass, Darryl LaMonica, and those guys just chucking the ball. And so when we got, Nelson and we got Henry and Zay was there, and, we got these guys, and Waller, obviously is freak show. He runs a 4.3 at 260, whatever. It's crazy. Now in our minds, we can, it's not just a 50-50 here, let's give it a chance. It's really like a calculated, this is the matchup. Okay. We want that matchup. You go shred him and Derek will hit you, and that's the expectation. And once we got those pieces and once we had time to do it up front, then we let it go. If you think about a couple of years ago, we were starting 2 rookie tackles. We were, shifting guys all throughout the inside of the line. Well, we didn't have a lot of time, a lot of sacks, so we had to get completions to move the ball, and then, we're looking for speed at receiver. So finally this year we got Nelly and Henry and those guys, and we could do that. So, it's all a part of Gruden's plan, and whatever he asked me to do, that's what I'm going to do. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Like whatever he asks of me, this is what we're doing. That's the plays I'm looking to get us into. That's what we're doing. And so, I think that's good. That's good for my job security for my kids, if I do what he wants me to do. So, I'm going to keep doing that at the highest level I possibly can. But you obviously saw a noticeable difference in really our minds and his plays and in my mindset that he wanted me to have, that, hey, when we get certain looks, let's go ahead and take it over the top. And hopefully we can continue that. Hopefully these guys that we brought in, obviously Smoke, John Brown, he can roll, Henry, Zay, all those guys, we can go do that again this year. That'd be awesome.
But you hit on Waller, and I did not realize his life story. I assume you know all about this life story, right? Of
Yes.
Just how far he has had to come in his personal life. And here he's blessed with all these gifts. I mean, running 4.3 at 250 or 60 pounds and 6'6" of them or whatever. How many, and you guys are always like putting him on the single side and, hey, you want to leave a safety in the middle of the field? He's getting the ball. It doesn't take a great mind to figure out where that thing's going. Tell me about him and sort of as a person, how far he's come.
Yeah, I honestly, I wish I had just an hour to talk about Darren Waller, because one, he is so inspiring and what he's come from. He was trying to quit football. He was trying to get himself kicked out at one point. He's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this. and to see this transformation take place in his life, and just the other day, I mean, I saw him in church the other day, and he's trying to do everything he can to make sure he stays mentally right. His heart is in the right place. And I see him like consciously trying to work towards that all the time, and to see that he recognizes that he had those problems, and he recognizes that I don't want to go back to that, and he's fighting every single day. Still to this day, he still fights every day to make sure he never goes back to that. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, because the way he comes to practice, his mentality every single day. If I could tell our rookies or our young guys one thing, I say, guys, just watch Darren Waller. You want to know what it takes to make it in this league? Obviously, not all of you are going to have some of the freakish talents that he has, but you have enough because you're here. Just watch that man go about his business, because he's the hardest worker on the practice field, the absolute hardest worker. Every single time we have a special teams, he's with me running more routes. And I tell these young guys, I was like, you guys, if you want the ball and you want these things, there's no secret where it's going. If you look during a special teams period, and me and Darren Waller are over there, sweating profusely because we're working on routes that are in the game plan that week. I think you can probably know where the ball is going to go, because there's timing, there's trust, all those things. And he works his tail off. He's freakishly talented. I'll never forget, we had a 3-play stretch where we handed him a fly sweep, 4-play stretch. We handed him a fly sweep. We ran the ball at him, and he caved the defensive end all the way down into the A gap. Then we asked him to pass set against a premier rusher, and he passed set one-on-one, won the whole rep. And then the next, we threw him a 30-yard seam ball down the middle, and he went for like 40. And I was like, if this isn't the best football player in the NFL, like I don't know much. This is unbelievable that he can do all of these things. And so, again, if I had an hour, I could talk about him. I'm not going to kill the podcast like that, but if you can't tell already, I'm just so proud of him and what he's doing. Like throwing him the ball is one of the greatest joys of my life, because I just get to witness his story develop every time he catches one. And it's just awesome.
Final question for you. Your life after football.
Yeah.
You're a bit of a renaissance man. You like things beyond football, and you have bigger expectations for you, your family, your kids. I know both your kids are going to be like Major League Baseball pitchers, so that's good. But where do you see yourself in 20 years? What would you want to do? How do you want to impact the world around you?
Well, we try. I try my best now during football to impact it. There's ways financially that we can impact. Like, I get texts all the time from a missionary friend of ours who's in Haiti and building churches and schools in Haiti and the Dominican, and I get to see that impact. But I'm excited to be hands-on. Like, it's one thing to give money and exactly where it's going to help certain things, but it's another thing to like do something. And so it's fun for this time being, but I just see myself, I don't know what it'll be, but I'll be serving in some kind of capacity. I don't know if it's, I know I'll be preaching. I know that I'll be doing that. I already do that, all over the world, all over the country, and I preach in Haiti and different places. People are asking me now all the time, almost every Sunday. If I wanted to, I could book every Sunday, but I have to have a home life a little bit. And so I know I'll be doing that, but also coaching is a passion of mine. I don't know at what level. I don't know if I have the patience for some high schoolers. I definitely don't want to do college, especially with all the rules now. I definitely don't want to do that, but never say never, but we'll see. I definitely could see myself coaching, because I can impact those men as well, in their lives, and give them the knowledge and hopefully some photographic memory still a part of my brain in 20 years that I can help them out a little bit. But I don't know. I think honestly, but the biggest joy of my life is if my kids grow up, they love the Lord, and they're giving everything they have to whatever job they have, and they love the people around them. I mean, that, I think that too. Like, honestly, that would be just my greatest joy, if my kids are more successful than me. And as a dad of 4 now, which is crazy at 30, it goes fast. I got some gray hairs in my beard now, but as this is taking place, and football is awesome, and I still have so much football left in me. I'm only 30, and my body feels great. I think no matter what I could even accomplish in football wouldn't be good enough compared to my kids being successful. So I'm going to give this everything I have, and until the wheels fall off, or until my wife says, okay, that's enough. But I'll do this until then. But when I'm done, I'll probably be preaching, coaching, and really just helping my kids be as successful as they possibly could be.
It has been a pleasure, my friend, and I appreciate you taking a little bit of time. I know you've got a million things you could be doing right now. I appreciate the time, and really look forward to watching another Kansas City matchup next year. Those were the two best I saw. They were great, great games. So can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Always good to talk to you.
Well, thanks to Derek, and thanks so much to you for tuning in today. And I tell you, I think Derek Carr, I think the Raiders have a legitimate shot. What I saw against them with the Chiefs last year, they can play with anybody. So that defense gets fixed, who knows? But don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and give it any 5-star review you want. I'm always told to say that. We'll see you next time with another great episode right here on the Chris Collinsworth Richard Sherman podcast.